Hello makers! Today's card that I'm sharing is actually a sister card to the one that I made yesterday and shared. It was made actually for the Ranger blog, and then I changed my mind and went with the other design. So I thought I would share this one today in the same manner. So you're going to want to get quite a few things out. I don't have them all pictured here, but I used the department store CMS 458 stamp set for this. I used Distress Mixed Media Heavystock. I used several colors of spritz in red, green, yellow, and then the hickory smoke, the gray. I used Scorched Timber Distress Embossing Glaze, Lost Shadow Distress Embossing Glaze. You're going to need some distress inks in the same color scheme, and you will need a water brush and a mixed media mat of some sort and some embossing ink. All right, so I began by stamping the bells from department store on mixed media heavy stock with clear embossing ink, and then I embossed it with scorched timber embossing glaze. And then I took some wild honey and I put that on my mat, sprayed it with a little fossilized amber spritz, and then I colored in the bells with that mixture with a water brush, and that kind of gave them that nice spritzy shimmer. Then for the greenery, I used Rustic Wilderness and Rustic Wilderness Spritz. Then for the berries, I reached for my aged mahogany distress ink and fired brick spritz, and that was just for the berries. I wanted the ribbon a little bit brighter, so I used candied apple distress ink and lumberjack plaid spritz to color just the ribbon. Once that was dry, I got my recoil scissors out and I did some fussy cutting, cut out the whole image so that I could put it on the card front. And I decided I wanted the berries to stand out just a little more, so I got my glossy accents out and I put a drop on each of the berries. And you can see there, if you look closely, that I did mess up just a little bit, and that's okay. It won't show in the end. Now, I needed a sentiment, so I took the one from department store. I stamped it in Scorched Timber Distress ink, embossed it with Scorched Timber Distress Embossing Glaze, and then I fussy cut that out. I wanted it to have some color too, so I grabbed Lumberjack Plaid Distress ink and my blending tool, and I blended it from the outside toward the center, darker on the outside, a little lighter in the center. Now I needed the background, so I took another piece of mixed media heavy stock and I took the music from the department store. I stamped it in distress embossing ink, and then I embossed it with Lost Shadow Distress Embossing Glaze. I wanted just a little more texture, and so I got out my Twinkle Texture Paste and my Sparkle THS 132 stencil, and I went ahead and put some of that Twinkle Texture Paste through the stencil, and there you can see it. I had to move it just a little bit, but I wanted those stars just to add just a little bit of texture on there. Now, once the texture paste was dry, I wanted to add some color and shimmer, so I sprayed it with water, the whole background, and then I sprayed it with a little bit of Hickory Smoke Distress Spritz and let that dry naturally. While it was drying, I made a mat for the card, and so I went around the outside edge of a piece of mixed media heavy stock with lumberjack plaid and a blending tool, and then sprayed it with lumberjack plaid distress spritz. Once that was dry, I went around the edges with some scorched timber distressing and my blending tool, and then I cut the music background down to 4 by 5 1/4 inches so that that red mat would show, and I went around the edges of that also with the scorched timber distressing. Now it was time to put all of the elements together. So I cut an A2 card out of craft stock. It's not going to show except on the inside and the back. I adhered the red mat directly to the front of the card base. And then I took that music background and I put it in the middle of the red mat. And there you can see all the shimmer from the background. Isn't that wonderful? I popped the bells and the sentiment up from the back. So there you can kind of see the bells popping up and all of the shimmer from the hickory smoke on the background. And also the berries that I told you about earlier where I messed up just a little bit, you really can't tell unless I told you. If you were just looking at the card, you wouldn't notice it. So just remember that if you make a little mistake like that, just go with it. It's fine. It's still handmade, and that's the beauty of making cards, right? So here's some more of the shimmer on the bells and that background. Also, you get that shimmer with the distress embossing. That was kind of my assignment for the Ranger blog, was to do shimmery, shiny things with distress embossing glaze. So I think that I achieved that, and especially with the addition of the twinkle texture paste, I haven't gotten to use that as much as I thought I would this season. So I was glad to get that out and put that to some use. So, and there you can also see that I popped up that sentiment as well, so that there was a little texture on the card. So here is the final card in its entirety, and I think it has just an absolutely wonderful vintage, aged, retro feel to it, with that scorched timber around the edges and all of the shimmery goodness going on there. And then just that kind of soft brown that was just dark enough, that scorched timber, but not that really hard um, black soot color. So I love how it turned out. Really, really happy with it. And I'm so glad I got to share it with you today. Well, all the products that I used for today's card are linked in the description for today's video. I'm also putting this on my blog, so you can go there as well if you would like, for any of my affiliate links. And I want to thank you so much for joining me again for one of these very different tutorials for uh, my channel. And I appreciate that you came back and watched, even though it's a little different than my normal video. So I want to thank you for watching and wish you a very creative day.